layer of connectivity. And that's where we see the new opportunities, new markets coming up. And it's evolving, uh, it may need the connectivity across uh, like public and private networks and some of the
Welcome to the Value Seller Talks with Deepak Bajaj, where we explore the journey of visionary leaders driving technological advancement across industries. Today, we are honored to welcome Kaitki Agarwal, founder and president of A5G Networks. With over 25 years of experience in the wireless, wireline, and cable industries, Kaitki has been a trailblazer in revolutionizing the telecom infrastructure, edge, and 5G technology through cloud-native solutions. Handled leadership position at Parallel Wireless, Cisco, Nokia, and other esteemed organizations. Ketki's dedication to innovation and customer-centered solution is evident in her impressive list of over 60 patents in areas like heterogeneous mesh networks and dynamic wireless network virtualization. She is also an influential figure in professional and women's network, including Forbes Technology Council, IEEE Women in Engineering, and Women Tech Network, where she actively shares her insight on leadership, technology, and distributed mobile networks. So today we will delve into her journey, explore the transformative work A5G network is doing under her leadership in the 5G space, and hear her insights on the future of telecom. Welcome, Ketki.
Thanks, Deepak. Thanks for inviting me and thanks for the great intro.
Thank you. And I know the list is quite long, so we just try to make it short. But yes, thanks for contributing to the telecom world. We need the innovations like yours. And congratulations to you and whole A5G family for winning the CRN Stellar Startup 2024 award in the networking slash unified communication category.
Thanks, Deepak.
Right. Ketki, you're always an innovator and inspiring leader for many, but we want to know you as a person first.
Yeah, sure. I was born and raised in the northern part of India. That is like near Delhi. My dad was on transferable job as chief medical officer. So we used to get transferred from one city to another within one state. So I traveled a lot as a kid, saw many places, got different experiences from different places. I love reading, exploring, innovating, creativity. So those were all my tools and way to connect with people. Because every time you go to a new place, you want to make new friends, you want to connect with new people. So those were my tools
Wow.
to connect. So and my parents were very supportive, even with all the social norms, as you know, in India and pressures. My parents gave me autonomy and made me an independent thinker, independent person. So, and I knew they're always there to guide me and support me, to pick me up if I fall. So, having that support from my parents made me a confident person and a risk taker. But we all need to weigh pros and cons before taking calculated risks. But without taking the risk and dealing with uncertainty, it's uh, y- like it's difficult to make progress whether you are an entrepreneur or you are doing something else. And I personally like running fast, but you must know yourself well to understand how much speed you can handle and pace yourself depending on the task, the overall context, and your goals. And you want to have the right amount of ambition, adaptability, and speed to take it to the finish line. And I feel adaptability is the most important aspect because you will be learning. during your journey on the way and making micro pivots along the way while you are learning and applying that learning to achieve your goals. So experience is your best teacher.
Definitely. And as you are traveling to multiple parts of India, definitely you will be getting a lot of people and lot of interaction and lot of culture to adopt as well. So
Yeah, yeah. Like seeing culture and different ways of doing in different parts of the state or different parts of India, that taught me a lot. Like observing how like different languages or different people are behaving, how they are doing things differently. Um, that's that's really interesting. I personally learned a lot from that.
definitely, yeah, and that's these are the basic ingredients to make you a great leader, which you are.
Thanks.
Right. So, Ketki, how your journey entered into the technology and the telecom world?
So I did my engineering from IIT Roorkee in India, and I worked in India for about a year and a half before I moved to the US for work. Um, and then later on during my career, I did my MBA in 2009, and that gave me a broader perspective to balance business and technology aspects. And that is important because you want to uh, like you don't want to have too much on technology or just on business. You need to bring both of them together um, for any journey, whether it's corporate or entrepreneur or as an entrepreneur. And I was always fascinated by how things connect, how the networking works, how the communication happens. And that's when I started my journey in the wireless networks.
Mm.
My journey has been a good mix of telecom and IT industries, and it has been an interesting journey because I saw how the networks evolved, like in the late 90s and until now. And it's great to be uh, a part of that journey and to be able to influence it from the innovation, product, and business point of view. So that's basically, and then of course, there are a lot of use cases how you want to evolve uh, and change how you have been doing things in a certain way and how you apply technologies to make that happen.
So I totally resonate with you, but what you mentioned and how it helped you to build your career, and definitely the world has changed from the late 90s to now, and now we are all are talking about a different connected world, a smart, intelligent, connected world. Right?
Yeah.
Uh, you have been instrumental and established A5G networks. So, what is the meaning of A5G? And it's tell us about its vision and what problem it is solving for the customers.
So A5G networks is autonomous 5G networks. Our vision came from or influenced and motivated by the need for digital transformation across all the industries. So while we talk a lot about private networks, we have to look at the bigger picture. And private networks is just a means of realizing the digital transformation in one like in from the industry from different industries point of view. But if you look at the bigger picture, digital transformation and the need for connectivity is what is driving uh, the new services, new business models, and all the different use cases that we are talking about. So uh, since digital transformation is the main driver,
Mhm.
we see the need for autonomous connectivity to realize the digital transformation. Because digital transformation, you want a network that is easy to operate without having lot of subject matter expertise for telecom. It needs to be simple to operate. It needs to be easy to understand. It needs to almost uh, like be a zero touch network that is that you can audit, that you can manage without having lot of expertise for the current connectivity, mobile connectivity network that today we call telecom. And then maybe I will uh, share my thoughts how what I view for connectivity as the next generation, not necessarily a part of telecom. And in addition to the digital transformation, like data, we are generating a lot of data in the network. So data is very important, and data security, data governance, they are very important aspects, not just for digital transformation, for anyone who owns who owns that data, and who is concerned about where my data is going, who is using my data, and how to secure that data. So that's where we saw gaps in how things are being done. And um, the need for the networks becoming hierarchical or layered on the
Mm.
back end. So I'm not talking about the radio access network. I'm talking about the network where all the traffic coming from the radio access network gets aggregated, and that part of the network was kind of overlooked, and everyone was thinking it's commoditized, there's
Yeah.
no room for innovation there. But we saw a lot of potential to innovate in that part of the network, because that's where the first service realization happened. That's the service aware network,
Mm.
and how we make our service deployment better, how we make um, this service um, uh, realization, new service realization, and make the existing services better while generating return on investment are the key aspect of the network. And that's where there were gaps that we are trying to address at A5G networks. And some of those realization may happen using network slicing, and some may not. And that's where we have a unique offering to solve the real deployment challenges. And that's what we are hearing when we are talking to our customers, when we are talking to our partners. That's where we see gaps, and that's basically what we are trying to address. So our goal is to make the deployment flexible, secure, and cost effective for the different types of services and networks, not just like for private networks, not just for operators networks, but all the networks that are evolving where there is a need for mobile connectivity beyond Wi-Fi.
Mm.
And like the smart cities, it could be connected car networks, or the private networks across various industries like mining, manufacturing, or government initiatives for providing secure connectivity, or even the public networks for operators, where we see a need for more distributed networks as opposed to current centralized networks. So that's where A5G is providing the cloud native software only solution for
Mm.
democratizing the mobile connectivity and provide it as a service.
You explained it so beautifully, but I can sense the complexity and the type of the typical challenges which you are facing in integrating with number of network elements, which you rightly said is commoditized, and it's the need of a transformation to give a secure, faster speed, and in a simple word, plug and play networks to operate in. So
Yeah.
we can feel the intense work you and your team is doing at the back end to give a just a plug and play outcome. So thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, sure.
Right. You mentioned about native, right? So we need to understand from a very layman language, because most of the audience are not coming from a so much technical background, that what exactly the cloud native means and how this transformation is essential for the telecom industry in today's time.
Mhm. Sure. So basically, we should go by the need of the day. That is to make the networks zero touch. Like right now, there are a lot of manual interventions that are needed, whether you want to do day zero configuration of the network, how you want to like enable the network for the first time, to monitoring the network, to like detecting fault in the network, to see what is happening in the network. So all these aspects, if we can take out a lot of manual intervention from these, from the way we are doing uh, today, how we are deploying the networks today, is going to give us a big um, advantage. And cloud native is a means for doing that. So that's where, like, then you can talk about how you want to make it cloud native. There are multiple ways of doing it. There are multiple challenges of doing it. And some of those challenges we are trying to solve on how to deploy it across multiple clouds, whether they are private cloud based on the likes of like Red Hat, VMware, and so on, or public cloud like AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud. And everyone has its own tweaks and challenges, and that's where it's important to have a software that understands the underlying complexities and make it seamless for the services that are using that connectivity layer um, to work seamlessly across, no matter where you're deploying it, how you're deploying it. So that's the uh, requirement for making the for realizing the cloud native networks. And once you have the cloud native networks, as I mentioned earlier, you can get the simplicity for deployment, and that simplicity for deployment is really important for digital transformation, because you don't have a lot of expertise, and you don't want to have the expertise building and learning the complexities of what is happening in the underlying connectivity layer. You want complete simplification so that you can focus on the bigger things, like how your services are working, what you can what type of new services you can offer, how you can manage your own networks. Like for example, some of the uh, customers we are working with or talking to, they are talking about the problems where they have robots on the manufacturing floor, and currently the connectivity layer is not good enough for them to operate those robots. So they, what happens is that if connectivity goes down, those that entire pipeline gets stalled. And in some cases, those robots, they like collide into each other, and then that's they are expensive, so they lose a lot of money that way. And those are some of the, if we have a good connectivity layer, we can solve some of those problems by making their operation run seamlessly. And where the that's where A5G is providing a reliable connectivity layer that can work across any type of access technology. So, like it can work with Wi-Fi, 4G, 5G, or any access technology. But the goal is to provide the connectivity, seamless connectivity that they can rely on to do whatever they are good at, to meet their requirements, to make their manufacturing lines and work seamlessly and do the digital transformation to get their operational savings and productivity improvements.
Agree. So you know the SLAs and all the other KPIs which A5G is handling on their behalf to give the seamless connectivity. And the
Yeah.
robots is a right example which you mentioned, because We never thought about that robots can collide with each other, but this is a real operational challenges which generally
Yeah,
happen when you are totally going for unmanned operations.
yeah.
Right. Although you have mentioned this point, but still we want to understand who are your target customers and what benefit they are getting from the A5G as a company.
Once. Um, so our target customers are both enterprises and operators. And we work with enterprises through different channels, whether they are system integrators or through our partner ecosystems. And like enterprises or businesses are where the digital transformation is happening. So as I have been mentioning, for digital transformation, they want a seamless connectivity layer, and that's what we are providing. For operators, actually, there are now multiple types of operators, not just your traditional mobile operators like AT&Ts and Verizons and all, but uh, there are new operators like greenfield operators, or even the MVNOs, or the uh, smart city initiatives that is happening at the city level or state level. So they all need a layer of connectivity. And that's where we see the new opportunities, new markets coming up. And it's evolving. Uh, it may need the connectivity across um, like public and private networks, and uh, some of the like where the services can work seamlessly. Like, for example, if I have uh, like drone delivery that is working seamlessly across my enterprise network, or when it goes out for the delivery, when it's talking to the public network. So there are several of those new use cases that are coming up, and we are going by the use cases and providing the solution around those use cases for our customers. So having the solution centric view is important, and that's where we see a lot of value. It's not just, even though as a product we are building just the connectivity layer for the backend software where all the mobile traffic gets aggregated, we really provide a complete solution and guide our customers through that end-to-end uh, like pipe for giving the best offering and seamless connectivity.
Uh, Agree. And as you mentioned, the smart cities, inside the smart cities, under that bigger umbrella, there are multiple use cases, whether it's
Yeah.
the drainage or the waste management, and every need, every use case require a different quality of service along with
Yeah,
that.
yeah, AGV or AGV, like within the within on-premises, in your warehouse and university campuses. So there are like enormous opportunities.
So, agree. Thank you for bringing that up, and that gave a more clarity to the customer. And definitely, there are so many customers who are, or the audience who are actually from a public sector, so they will get a lot of value as you mentioned about the smart cities. So thank you for that. So, now moving on to the from a cloud native to the now to edge computing, so which is nowadays becoming essential in the telecom network. So how does A5G network leverage edge technology, and what impact do you see it having on 5G and the beyond?
So edge and distributed networks are the need of the day. Um, as the networks are becoming distributed, then there is a requirement to bring to process and consume the data closer to where it's being generated. And that's driving the distributed networks. And with distributed networks, you can have like from the connectivity layer point of view, you want to have the smarts in the connectivity layer to determine whether you want to process the traffic at a location that is farther, or you want to process the data or send the data to for processing that is closer. And that's where the recognition of the edge in the connectivity layer comes in. So for uh, making that low latency applications work, whether it's cloud gaming or we are working with some of our customers for providing a low latency network for uh, like some of the financial transactions and so on, where uh, it's really important to process at the edge. The connectivity layer needs to realize that if it's deployed at the in the edge centric model, it has to provide the same level of reliability
Mm.
what it will provide as if it was deployed in a very resource centric location. So, like Edge, you may have like a less capable server, shared deployment scenario, and so on. So, the connectivity layer has to realize its environment, the resource constraints, while providing the same level of reliability to make the services work um, like at the edge or uh, using the centralized infrastructure to make the services work in the centralized way. So basically, your workloads could be running at the edge, your workloads could be running in the centralized location, and the connectivity layer has to have that realization of um, uh, using the resources for uh, handling the workloads in both the locations. So that's one aspect of Edge. The other aspect is AI. So we are providing the AI native networking for the connectivity layer, and a lot of inferencing needs to happen at the edge. So edge is becoming more like uh, an essential building block
Mm.
for how the networks are going to evolve.
Right, right. And as you mentioned the edge and you talk about a lot of technicality, so that also create a lot of interest to the next phase, which is your view on AI native networking, which is a common buzzword nowadays, and how A5G is implementing them for the better customer experience.
Yeah, so there are two aspects of AI and networking. You may have heard the phrase
Yeah.
networking for AI and AI for networking. So we are doing AI for networking. So AI or machine learning is one of the building blocks of our software. So our software is um, like uh, built uh, if for applying machine learning in all the right places where you want to do network optimizations, whether you want to optimize the resources for making it like from for bringing energy savings in the network, or for um, adding more intelligence in the network, for enabling use cases, or realizing that it is a video surveillance traffic, it needs to be handled differently, or it is a YouTube traffic, Facebook traffic, it needs to be treated differently. And that all based on machine learning instead of having the static uh, configurations defined in the system. We are doing it based on the learning of the traffic patterns and handling the traffic in a certain way. So basically, that is a way to make it zero touch. And another aspect is that in the network, you want to have observability. You want it to understand that certain things are happening in the network where I need to tell someone to uh, that something bad is going to happen. So
Mhm.
that type of self audit, self correcting behavior, and self realization of the connectivity layer software itself is what is important. That's where we are applying the AI. Another thing, the way we call it is we are adding voice to the network. That means the network detects, realizes, and speaks to whoever is watching the network, and in a very human interactive way. And similarly, you can interact with the network in a very human way, like instead of having the expertise to watch the key performance indicators and so on, you can just ask, how is my network doing today?
Yeah.
Do I have to worry about anything? And the network will tell you what uh, what you should expect. And then you can tell network, okay, change this and that, and then like in essentially underlying, it will do more complicated things, but you can interact in a very simple way.
Yeah.
So that's where we are applying the AI.
Yeah, I remember when the 5G gets introduced, we talk about a programmable network, right? The mobile
Mhm.
network is programmable. Now it's become a voice assisted networks
Yeah.
underlying AI, ML, and the deep learning and LLMs of the world. But yes, thanks for giving me a new visualization of how the future networks should look like.
Yeah, sure.
Now, as we are on topic of the 5G, so could you share some of the current challenges and the advancement in the 5G technology deployment specifically, and how does A5G networks tackle these challenges, particularly with regards to connectivity and its performance?
Mhm. So I think when I'm saying we, I'm talking from the industry and overall how things are being done in the network today. So there are many things that are being done by taking short-term view and restricting innovation and deployment. And whatever infrastructure is there, I want to just protect my investment, get the best out of my previous investment, and just do the sustaining innovation in that process. There is a need, so we keep doing a lot of incremental changes, um, but there is a need for disruptive innovation, take a fresh perspective, and do things in a different way. And of course, the networks that are currently running, providing this service, it's very difficult to do that disruptive innovation. I mean, practically, there are challenges that are and the problems that are difficult to solve. But while that is important in the existing or the currently deployed network, there is a path to change it. And cloud native networks are the seed or the first step to realize the autonomous networks. The autonomous networks are where you will get the economies of scale and good return on investment. But you cannot just make your existing that the deployed networks autonomous network without uh, like uh, doing it the right way. Like, it's not a sustaining innovation. You cannot just um, put a device on top of uh, the existing networks and call it autonomous networks. Yeah, you can do some parts of it, but you will not get that much benefit and return as you would expect it to give, right? So that's where having more like greenfield networks, new networks such as smart cities, connected cars, even digital private network digital transformation, and like evolve them to use as a service model, and not necessarily operated and managed by the traditional operators, While operators may have spectrum and radio access network, they may not uh, uh, deploy and operate the backend part of those networks. Instead, they may use a managed service provider for those networks. And we are working with several of our ecosystem partners and customers for enabling this model.
Right. So yeah, as you rightly mentioned, there are a lot of moving components, as well as you cannot just put a top of a layer and then everything becomes so autonomous. It doesn't happen like that. It has to start from the foundation till the top, and everything should be connected. And again, to bring the voice assistant, you need an end-to-end voice assistant from right from the application till the last router on the ground.
Yeah.
Right. Uh, you hold numerous patents in heterogeneous mesh networks. So could you share with what excites you about this area of networking, and how does heterogeneous network contribute to the growth of 5G?
When we started, when we talked about heterogeneous mesh networks, it was to solve a specific problem. So the mesh networking is an old concept,
Mm.
and it has been around for quite some time in the wireless, in terms of Wi-Fi mesh networks, where endpoints, when they come close to each other, recognize the presence of the other endpoint and connect with them. So you don't have to have a predefined networking. It's more like ad hoc connectivity. And our idea was to bring that same ad hoc connectivity for the mobile networking, for the mobile radio access network, to be more specific. So most of the patents and what we have done in the past was keeping that in the mind, that the radio access network node, like mostly 4G, eNode B, will have a component that will make it may realize that there is another eNode B that it can that is there, so it can have the eNode B to eNode B connection, or it can and then or eNode B to more like a proxy node or the router node, that is in terms of the radio routing. It can connect to that and then form the network all the way to the aggregation point, that is the packet core. So that was the whole idea of the mesh networks, because for some of the public safety scenarios, where you don't want to have the last mile connectivity, and this is all to solve the last mile connectivity problem. So for the last mile connectivity, you may not have the internet connectivity at a certain location. And that was the like creating an ad hoc mesh network was the way to provide the last mile connectivity for the 4G node. That's basically the heterogeneous mesh network came into play, because heterogeneous means it could be Wi-Fi access, it could be Wi-Fi, it could be 4G access, and eventually 5G access. But the focus at that time was mostly on the Wi-Fi and 4G. And then it can form its own last mile network by recognizing that there is another device in the neighborhood, and then it can use the resources of that neighboring device to eventually get to the aggregation point.
I agree. And at the end of the day, the how the customer will get more better experience. That's how these networks are talking with each other. With
Yeah.
regard. Thanks for. And yes, that's the basic line of not the customer go out of the coverage, or not to have that dark zones in between when they are interconnecting from a one network to a Wi-Fi and vice versa.
Yeah, yeah. You can basically assume that there are a lot of radio nodes on different vehicles. These different vehicles are trying to connect with each other to form, let's say, a defense network or the public safety network. And that's where that was basically the use case.
Noted. Yeah, very well explained. Thank you. Thank you. And we have not thought about of such of integrity and the complexity, how the networks are actually connecting with each other and giving the experience what the customer has paid for.
Yeah, actually, in any product that you're building, there are two critical points. One is to get the first call working, and the second one is to scale. So once you have nailed these two things, then you have achieved a lot.
Definitely, and that's where the monetization comes into the play,
Yeah.
the economies of scale. You have always been the center of a global attraction, and we have seen you on various magazines, various platforms such as Forbes Technology Council, IEEE Women in Engineering, even Women Tech Network. So, what is your learning from these esteemed platforms?
So these platforms give me like different viewpoints because every network has a different set of leaders with different set of expertise. Like for example, Forbes Technology Council is focused on a lot on technology. IEEE Women in Engineering is also focused on like more deep tech, deeper than what the type of colleagues and leaders I would meet in the Forbes Technology Council. Similarly, Women in Tech is focused on the leadership and uh, like the Forbes women is focused again on more leadership. Past company executive board is focused on like some of the business aspects, marketing and entrepreneurship. So it like being part of these different communities helped me create a 360 view of how other leaders are trying to do things, how they are perceiving certain things, and having that overall view, holistic view, um, helps me avoid the blind spots and create more informed view and possibly opinions that eventually leads to a better decision making for anything that I'm trying to do.
And definitely, we are surrounded by the leaders and the experts will give you a, a different perspective, as you mentioned, the 360 view. Right. And now you have got the award of from a CR and Stellar Award. So if you can help us to understand what exactly that is and what are the unique the points which A5G has shown to them.
I think as a startup in the startup journey, we want to highlight and put more spotlight on the innovation that we are doing, how we can help other companies, how we can expand and work with our partner network, with our different channels to create a win-win. And that's what you want to highlight, that how we are making an impact in the networking and the communication or mobile connectivity area to enable those transformations. And that's basically what we try to highlight in that.
Thank for because yes, as a startup, you rightly mentioned the innovation is the fundamental. The problem, the same problem solved with a different approach, and that's where the innovation comes into. Now, I would like to move into your leadership and the technological innovation, as we always said. So you're recognized for leading teams through innovation and customer-centric approaches, and that's what you have been positioned in the industry. So what are the core principles you believe are essential for the leaders in technology, especially in rapidly evolving field like telecom and technology?
So I think most important thing is to envision and solve real problems. Once you know it is a real problem, you find the technology, because I view technology as a tool to solve the problem. So you find the right technology, you apply the right technology, and um, bring resources together to solve it. And if it's a real problem, you will know by talking to customers. Customers will hear you out, they will support you, they will work with you. um, you have to be forward looking. That is, solve the problem with the most effective solution. And it does not always have to be a better mousetrap. Depending on the need, you may be creating a new market segment or doing disruption. So you have to realize, depending on the problem you're trying to solve, what you're trying to do and what are the outcomes of that, where you can make the most impact. And like, I view innovation just as a part of process to deliver the best solution to the problem. It just happens naturally. So it's not that in order to do the innovation, you're starting a company. You're starting a company to solve a problem because you see the need for um, uh, solving problem, for making the transformation, for making an impact in the industry. And you're using the technology and innovation as tools to provide the best solution.
Right. Great. Great, and thank you for bringing that up. But if I take into the real experiences and the real challenges, so you, as a person, you also face a lot of challenges. So, what are the biggest challenges, if you remember, which you have overcome in building a high performance and the globally distributed team at A5G?
Um, so um, I would say that in terms of challenges, it's always like startup is all about ups and downs. It's a roller coaster ride, and that you have to enjoy it. Otherwise, it will that will create its own challenge, that you are not fully dedicated to your vision or purpose. So it's all purpose driven, and the challenges that we see as being part of the startup are like uh, a typical it's like whether you want to grow the team, whether you want to uh, take it to the next level, and that all is really important. And then the connectivity, like industry itself, needs a mindset shift. So you're trying to do multiple things, and how much focus you want to put on a specific thing is something you have to balance. Like, you are trying to do internal like things within your company, like managing the day-to-day aspects, whether it's fundraising or growing the team, managing the team, and the external aspects, where that uh, it's going to take time to make an impact, or the mindset shift in the industry to really make uh, this a bigger impact. Who do you want to work with to generate more synergies, to make it a bigger impact? And timing is critical. You want to do things at the right time and put the right amount of fuel at the right time. And that's important. So these are all the things that come together when you're trying to run a startup.
A very important point which you have touched with. And as an entrepreneur, I also relate that how the things are sometimes very tricky to which was not happen when you were an employee. But yes, how to handle the team, how to bring the people, how to manage that roller coaster, from a sinusoidal wave. It's a difficult challenge. Thank you for guiding for your extreme guidance. Uh, Obviously, as a visionary, we want to have your opinion and your perspective. And how do you see the industry heading in the next 3 to 5 years?
So basically, if you look at the current routing infrastructure, and again, I'm going bit technical, let me know if I can explain in at a high level as well. Even though I feel it is my 100,000 feet view. Like you have all the local area network, wide area network, networking and routing infrastructure from Cisco's and Junipers and the likes of those, right? It is used by internet service providers, mobile operators, enterprises, small businesses. So it has a broad market, uh, and the demand for from different types of users, and makes it a that's what gives it the economies of scale. Whereas in the mobile connectivity world, that is not the case today. But I feel it's going to change and it will become similar. Mobile connectivity is not going to necessarily stay part of the telecom. It is going to make its own space, and we could, for the lack of better name, call it mobile connectivity. So it's like in a way converging with the routing or networking of how the traffic flows in our network. So um, that basically implies that it will work with all types of access technologies, whether it's Wi-Fi, 4G, 5G, or any G for that matter. And it's going to be so simplified that you can just bring your access network and connect to that connectivity layer, and on the back end you don't know what you're connecting with, it just works. So it needs to reach to that point. So that way it will blend better with IT, and the ownership of who is owning that particular connectivity layer may change as well. It may evolve. And that's where we will see more movement towards cloud or managed service provider model. And of course, again, as I said, this is my 100,000
Yeah.
feet view, and it needs a lot of work. It needs to evolve based on the services we want to bring in the network, the services, how we want to transform the services, where we see new business models and way to generate money, and based on the business requirements. So um, we don't want to keep the connectivity as the walled gardens that
Mm.
they are today. It's going to become more open, more evolved, and uh, just more seamless than what it is today.
And yes, we are approaching towards that phase. In fact, with the more generations coming, and now more and more open networks are we are talking about, which was not no one has thought about many years back. Now, yes, I resonate with you that where we are going, it's just a person should bring a box, connect it, and then he start using it.
Yeah.
Right. In the interest of time, I would like to go to the last question. Specifically, what is your message to the innovators and the entrepreneurs who are currently struggling to build their own products or scaling up their business?
So as an entrepreneur, you will be dealing with a lot of uncertainties, and that is given. And those uncertainties could be in the global market, how the industry is going, what direction it's taking, like geopolitical issues, and it could be in your personal life.
Mm.
But you have to become comfortable with dealing with uncertainties. You have to have awareness of how these uncertainties impact you, how the market may shift for good or the worse in the next couple of years, and make sure you have enough resources to build, sustain, and grow at the right time. Like managing cash flows during uncertain times is very important. So basically, my message is make uncertainty your friend and don't fear it.
Yes, although they have a courage that they have taken a leap and moving into an entrepreneurship journey, but yes, as the as the way goes and the the time flies, definitely this uncertainties will be the one they have to handle every day.
Yeah.
So thank you for bringing that valuable message, because most of the entrepreneurs are actually losing hope when because they haven't seen this type of era, which they are now experiencing a whole new world. So thank you, Kirti, for sharing your journey, insights, and expertise on the transformative power of 5G. I personally learned a lot, especially on the cloud native, AI native, as well as the edge computing from your perspective. So your pioneering work at A5G Networks and your commitment to drive innovation in the telecom is truly inspiring for many and personally for me. Thank you.
Thanks, Deepak. Thanks for inviting me to the podcast and for giving me opportunity to share my thoughts.
Thank you. Thank you so much for it's an honor for us, and thank you for taking your time. And definitely a message to our listener: keep exploring the limitless possibilities of technology and connect with Ketki for her supreme guidance. I'm sure she is very much busy, but definitely the if you have any challenges, you can connect with her. And until next time, this is Deepak Bajaj signing off. Thank you.
Thank you.